Here, okay, fuck it. New plan. We're watching PragerU videos. Everyone buckle the fuck in. Get ready. Normally I wouldn't send this to a leftist, but it applies to me as well. Shut the fuck up. I could fucking debate me. Get on stream. I'll take you down any day. Alright, PragerU. Let's do it. We're gonna learn today, motherfuckers. Okay, so the fireside chats are just these boomers like chat. Which one of these are the actual ads they put out? Probably the ones that have the where are you, Martin Luther King? Okay, we got it. Let's find a subject that I have some moderate level of education on so we can discuss this. Okay, we're gonna discuss the dishonesty in a PragerU video. Now, it should be said, I'm not doing any research prior to this, so it's totally possible I don't have a concrete answer for every disingenuous point they bring up, but they lie with such frequency that it is reasonable to assume that even if I don't understand exactly why a point is incorrect, that doesn't mean it's not incorrect. Let's look at MLK. I fucking love MLK. Let's do it. Are we ready? Is everyone ready? Okay, we're gonna learn today. MLK is he's a big meme right now.
It's been 50 years since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot to death on a motel balcony in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wrong. He was shot to death in 1968. It's now 2019. It's been 51 years, okay? Check your facts, PragerU.
And over the decades, he has become one of the most revered figures in American history. There is an impressive memorial to him in Washington, D.C., and a museum celebrating his life in Atlanta, Georgia. Countless schools and boulevards have been named after him, and a national holiday is dedicated to his memory. How is it, then, that so much of his legacy...
Ooh! Absolutely, yes. Bring in the black. They have a black that they keep in the fucking storage cupboard at PragerU Studios, okay? And they brought him out for this one.
What he hoped to pass on to the future has been lost. King wanted equality under the law and said, famously, that people ought to judge one another based on character, not skin color.
Okay, I already know what this dumbass video is going to be about, okay? The argument... Okay, and we can see how right I am. The argument is going to be that Martin Luther King, in spite of the fact that he was a socialist and a radical racial deconstructionist in U.S. history, despite the fact that the government, the FBI, the police were all systemically targeting him, not just for his advocacy for anti-segregationism, but also for his radical views concerning race relations in the United States. They are going to assert that Martin Luther King Jr. advocated for this super fucking tepid, obvious, everyone's already gotten over it level of, hey, as long as the law just treats everyone the same, as long as there's nothing in the books that says white or black people are better than one another, it's okay. But anything more than that, recognizing discrimination along racial lines, that's basically racism, because that's seeing skin color rather than character. That's what this video is going to be, and I'm ready for it, and I want you all to be ready for it too. Hey, Donati. Is my phone frozen? Hold on. Oh, God.
But he also...
Oh, God. Yeah, okay, Donati just said that. All right, let's do it.
also believed that blacks had an important role to play in their own advancement.
Yes?
The black civil rights battles in America are now over, and King...
No, that's factually incorrect. Black Lives Matter is going on right now. I don't know why they would say this. Like, this is factually incorrect. Did he say, like, black voting? Like, what did he...
own advancement. The black civil rights battles in America...
Civil rights. No, the civil rights battle isn't over. That's just factually incorrect.
...are now over, and King's side won. The best...
Kind of. They kind of won.
indication of that may be that King has had no real successor. If black Americans were still faced with legitimate threats to civil rights, such as legal discrimination or voter disenfranchisement, it's likely that leaders of King's caliber would have emerged to carry on the fight. Instead...
Okay, so is the argument here that a lack of a massively popular black civil rights leader in the absence of Martin Luther King is evidence to the fact that there's no legitimate discrimination anymore? This is a non sequitur. There's no relationship between these characteristics. The civil rights, the suffering blacks experienced under the unequal civil rights circumstances of the pre-1960s era was still very much present. They didn't have a Martin Luther King figure back then. Is that to say, then, that racism began with his advocacy and ended with his death? Yeah, no, there's no...
What we have today are pretenders who have turned the civil rights movement into an industry, if not a racket. And what have these racketeers accomplished? A lot for themselves and very little for their constituents.
Yes.
Racial gaps in income, education, and home ownership were narrowing in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. But after King was replaced as the spokesman for Black America by the likes of Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and others.
Just so, in case anyone's curious, Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton have never been spokespersons for the black community in America. They get hyper-focused on because they had, they'd like to think of themselves that way, and Republicans are real fucking ass-pained about these guys, but they never had the kind of, like, social or political impact, nor did they intend to, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had.
These gaps began to widen in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. This suggests that the racial disparities that continue today aren't...
It actually, it seems to me what it suggests is that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did not win, and after his death, progress began to move the other direction. Who are these guys? I've never heard about them as a non-American. Okay, Jesse Jackson is he's a civil rights activist and a minister, and candidate for the Democratic. Yeah, he did some Democrat. Shadow U.S. Senator. That sounds spooky as fuck. Held by officials, subnational policies lack congressional vote. Huh. I didn't even know that was a position. No, well, it's not really, but Rainbow Push. Where are you? Jesse Jackson Jr., elder son. Jackson also hosts both sides on CNN from 1992 to 2000. He's kind of irrelevant today. And then Al Sharpton is also a person. You'll notice both of these people are really fucking old because we don't have any modern equivalent to these people's political advocacy. Actually, wow, Al Sharpton is not that old. 64? He looks way the fuck older. For a black dude, black dudes tend to look 30 until they're 80. Jesse Jackson from old South Park episodes. Is it racist for white people to call conservative black people Uncle Toms? Nah, I don't fucking care anymore. Oh, man. After the Jesse Lee Peterson shit, that fucking, God, who was that conservative that Destiny argued with? The KKK brought his grandma presents. Nah, fuck him. Call them Uncle Toms all you want. Fuck those pieces of shit. Call them... Okay, don't call them house Negroes. But that's what they are. They are. They serve the same socio-political function. Amazing. Fuck them. Yeah, Anthony Brian Logan. Fuck these people. Anyway, these people never had the kind of influence MLK had. Alright, let's do it. Found a very yikes tweet. I can link. I don't know if blackface is again. It's not. You can link it. Hit me with it.
Driven by whatever racism that still exists, despite all the claims to the contrary.
Can you see? Can you see in the reflection of this black man's eyes, the white man holding the gun? Do you see it? Here, let's look at this tweet. Randomly flip through this 1979 US fraternities page. Holy shit. Yeah, dude. Fucking, but racism was over. I mean, we just saw it in the Prager U video. Racism was not the cause of any racial disparities. So I guess this is kosher? Fucking kill me. All right.
From progressives and their allies in the media. It also suggests that black culture, attitudes toward marriage, education, work, and the rule of law plays a much larger role than the left wants to acknowledge.
Wait. Okay, they're kind of presupposing their argument here. They have never demonstrated that an increase in racial disparity between black and white people is caused by any factor other than racism. This was never demonstrated. They just said it, and now they're going to pretend it's true.
or narrow law plays a much larger role than the left wants to acknowledge. More marches won't address fatherless homes.
Why not? What causes fatherless homes? Is it disproportionate policing? What can be done to fix disproportionate policing? Is it political advocacy?
More sit-ins won't lower black crime rates.
Why not?
Or narrow the school
Why not?
achievement gap. Electing more black politicians and appointing more black government officials can't compensate for these cultural deficiencies either.
I mean, you haven't really demonstrated that these cultural deficiencies exist or that they're having the impacts you presuppose. But it's true, if there are cultural deficiencies, they would not be addressed merely by voting in black politicians, though it is conceivable such a thing could help.
Black mayors, congressmen, senators, police chiefs, and school superintendents have become commonplace since the 1970s. Even the election of a black president, twice, failed to close the racial divide in many key measures. Black-white differences in poverty, home ownership, and incomes all grew wider under President Obama. Discussion of antisocial behavior in poor black communities, let alone the possibility that it plays a significant role in racial inequality,
Antisocial behavior? Could you describe what that means to me, please? Sir?
Another casualty of the post-60s era. King and other black leaders at the time spoke openly about the need for more responsible behavior. After remarking on the disproportionately high inner-city crime rates, King told a black congregation in St. Louis that we've got to do something about our moral standards. We know that there are many things wrong in the white world, he said, but there are many things wrong in the black world too.
It is a good thing, then, that there have been numerous peace summits held in America concerning black-on-black violence and the necessity of addressing failures within the black community. This is by no means a overlooked issue. White people love to ask, what about black-on-black crime, when black people cry racism, often legitimately. But in reality, they're doing their best. It's hard to work with what they have, considering the socioeconomic conditions most black Americans have been given.
We can't keep on blaming the white man. There are things we must do for ourselves. The pretenders to King's legacy mostly ignore this advice, preferring instead to keep the onus on whites.
It's not true. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are both participants in those summits. They have both been open and frequent advocates for the necessity of increasing responsibility, responsible parenting, and reduced crime in black communities.
Where King tried to instill the importance of personal responsibility and self-determination, his counterparts today spend more time making excuses for counterproductive behavior and dismissing any criticism of it as racist.
This is super fucking boring. There aren't even any arguments in here. All right. Maybe one more. Why you can't argue with a leftist? I probably would agree with this video, or at least I agree with the premise. I don't believe you can really argue with a fascist. I believe fascists should be shot, not argued with. And that's what fascists believe about us as well. Because neither of us benefit from trying to convince one another of our political rhetoric when we have such violently, diametrically opposed values. So I probably agree with this video, but not for the reasons they would argue. The danger of abortion, I don't care. War that changed everything. What does diversity have to do with science? A lot. Yeah, I don't know why the fuck I'm expecting arguments from PragerU videos. But this is what we wanted, right? This is what we do. I'm the lefty man. I'm critiquing the bad righty arguments. What does diversity have to do with science? Why Obamacare doesn't work as promised. New video every Monday. Let's do it. I love these reasons Ben Shapiro is so dominant in debates. Ben Shapiro is not that intelligent of a person. Oh my god, he's on the
Ben
ad.
Shapiro, you might recognize me from that time I made Piers Morgan say, "How dare you?"
About what happened in San
How dare you accuse me of standing on the graves of the children that died there? How dare you?
Or when I caused World War III at Berkeley. Or maybe because you listen to The Ben Shapiro Show, the most listened to conservative podcast in the country. If you know about the Daily Wire, then you know our team cares more about giving you the facts than they care about protecting your feelings. Help support those facts by becoming a premium subscriber today, and you'll receive access to live episodes of The Ben Shapiro Show, The Andrew Klavan Show, and The Michael Knowles Show, as well as direct access to Andrew, Michael, and me through the Daily Wire mailbag. And you'll also enjoy dailywire.com 100% banner-free. Subscribe today.
Yeah, this is an ad on from Ben Shapiro to a video on Ben Shapiro. So that's pretty great. Holy fuck. The left needs to catch up on YouTube. Jesus Christ. Look at this shit. This is 4.3 million views on the fucking list clickbait video on Ben Shapiro, when the best produced videos from H-Bomber Guy, from Sean and Jen, from ContraPoints get at most a third of this. And this is just some nothing channel. This isn't even like the This isn't even like the fucking one of like the big contenders of the right wing. These videos get insane numbers of views. It's no wonder there are so many fucking young reactionaries. Steven Crowder, 5 million views. I don't know what the fuck this is. Oversimplified. Okay, here's a video. Oversimplified World War II, Part 1. 21 million views. Since this is being linked to from a Ben Shapiro video, what do you think the odds are that this is going to make some defenses in the of Nazi Germany?
This video was made possible by Skillshare. Church. Was a man with he was Germany's great destined savior, and he went full megalomaniac, establishing a dictatorship with himself at its center. Europe had fascist dictator number 2. Hitler.
Alright, never mind. He criticized Hitler. I was expecting, like, people think Hitler is a monster, and while he did do many bad things, there's no denying his great charisma, and this is some shit like that, you know? But anyway, holy shit. Sometimes I think, like, yeah, the left is doing great on YouTube, but then I remember we got shit like this. Oh, fucking 5.6 million views of Jordan Peterson. And it's the Jordan Peterson video with this bitch.
There's no such thing as a perfect writer. This is why I use Grammarly to check my work.
If I'm putting commas...
This woman didn't even do much that wrong. I've watched the full video. It wasn't even that much of a stomp. Why aren't you using AdBlock? Because I just like hastily created this second Google Chrome account so that I wouldn't have porn popping up. If I start to stream more often, I'll like put more effort into actually, you know, securing this. Jordan Peterson, best comebacks. The left doesn't get this shit. We don't have anything like this. What the fuck? God. What were we gonna watch? What diversity has to do with science? Alright, let's see this. After the video, look at this dipshit. What are you gonna do, man? Human rights, if it gets in the way of your praxis. Iggy, no. Alright, okay, we're doing it. What does diversity have to do with science? After this video, I'm going to find someone to come on and debate me, okay? That's the goal.
The promoters of identity politics, the idea that we are primarily defined by our race and gender, have...
Like white nationalists? Like Christian conservatives like Jordan Peterson? This is an important distinction. Fascists, white nationalists, racists, sexists, these are the people who tout identity politics, because to them, identity is something which matters. Identity, for a leftist, is something which is thrust upon us. I don't care about my identity, because I'm cis, I'm white, I'm a male. The only identity, the only demographic identity that I care about in concerning myself is the fact that I'm pansexual, because it's one of the few alignments along which I am discriminated against. Though, realistically, I haven't experienced much discrimination in my lifetime. But to say a black person or a woman, their valuation of these identities is a product of the fact that to them they have to matter because society has made them matter. If a woman is to be assailed on her womanhood, she must use that womanhood as a shield to tout the virtues of womanhood, to speak in its defense. And in doing so, she may, to an outsider, to an uneducated person, seem as though she is touting the flag of identity politics, but in reality, she is merely responding to it. Did we like that? I feel like I sounded super charismatic when I said all that. Throw up a fucking clap in the chat if you thought I did the pretty words. Alright, let's do this.
Taken over the humanities and social sciences. That's bad, but not as bad as this. They're moving in on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math.
It is bad when identity politics conceptually moves in on science because ideology can pollute the purity of empirical research. This is why so much of the research the Nazis engaged in was garbage, because they engaged in research presupposing their garbage Nazi racial values, the idea that racial divides amongst people were so inherent, so fundamental, that these were essentially different species physiologically. Almost all of their genetic research was completely bunk from a research perspective. And the reason why that was the case wasn't because their scientists were stupid. It's because their scientists were beholden to the political means of the time. A scientist would have to produce results, and the results their supervisors wanted to see were not the results which said, hey, actually, it turns out Jews and white people are literally the same. There's no difference. There's no difference. Those are not the results that the Nazi commanders of these scientists wanted to hear. So they would falsify research. They would engage in deliberately misleading research tactics which would ensure divisive results. Identity politics, when practiced by those who actually give a shit about identity politics, like fascists, does ruin research.
All across the country, a UCLA scientist
We got a woman.
reports, the big question is, how can we promote more women and minorities?
MacDonald. Also, the fucking black man was from the Manhattan Institute as well. Is this like a particularly right-leaning institution? I don't know.
By changing, i.e. lowering, the requirements we had previously set for graduate-level study. The National Science Foundation, NSF, a federal agency that funds university research, exemplifies this approach. Progress in science, the NSF argues, requires a diverse STEM workforce. Why this is the case, they don't bother to say.
All right. Now, I admit I am not necessarily familiar with the NSF guidelines for graduate research and graduation, but I am willing to bet that when PragerU asserts that by changing the standards, they mean lowering the standards, PragerU is actually lying to me because they did not provide any research or even like a number, anything to work with. It is fundamentally racist to assume that an organization which changes its metrics to include more diverse racial and gender groups must necessarily be lowering their standards, because to do so is to assume that the present demographic makeup, which is predominantly white men, is founded entirely upon merit, is to suggest that white men are just better than blacks and women and Hispanics and what have you at the things they do. Oh, it's a neocon think tank, not an actual, institute. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Somehow, NSF-backed scientists managed to rack up more than 200 Nobel Prizes before the agency realized that scientific progress depends on diversity. No matter.
Isn't that an argument in favor of this institution's ability to determine whether or not the standards they place for their graduate research are acceptable? What this woman's essentially saying is, before they changed things, they were widely renowned and, lauded for their Nobel laureates, their incredibly intelligent and thoughtful research. But, no, that's all ruined now, thanks to the standards they imposed. I'm qualified to make that judgment.
In July 2017, it awarded $1 million to the University of New Hampshire and 2 other institutions to develop a bias awareness intervention tool. Another $2 million went to the Department of Aerospace Engineering at Texas A&M to remediate microaggressions and implicit biases.
These are both objectively good things. Can we get some claps in chat? Those are both good things. That's good. This is just good.
The science diversity charade, as I discuss in my book, The Diversity Delusion.
Oh, that's how we got a woman in here. That's how they were able to lure a woman into the Prager studios. They told her she would get to tout her book to 1.7 million people. Nope. It's hard to type with a mic stand in the way. Fuck. 4.5 stars. America is in crisis, from the university to the workplace. Toxic ideas first spread by higher education have undermined humanistic values? What the fuck does that mean? Chaucer, Shakespeare, and Milton? Oppressive. American history? Tyranny. Professors correcting grammar and spelling or employees' mind by merit? Racist and sexist! These all read the same. These all read the exact same. God. I feel like everything in this book is just going to be a conglomerate of, like, Kotaku in Action Reddit posts that I've already seen. Ton of guts. Oh, we got a Jordan B. Peterson. Fucking editorial review. Steven Pinker, Charles Murray, Peggy Noonan. Is Peggy Noonan a fucking cuck too? Like the other 3 people in these editorial reviews? Let's see. Weekly columnist, contributor to NBC and ABC News. Speechwriter and special assistant to President Ronald Reagan, has maintained a center-right leaning in her writings after leaving the... well, yeah, at least they're consistent. Biography, I don't care. Should be required reading by all U.S. university faculty and administrators. A compelling read, frightening look at diversity and its baleful influence on American politics. Inarguably accurate. My daughter literally had to sit through a white privilege lecture and argued with the instructor to the point of tears. All right. Oh, God. Oh, it's funny, but it makes me want to kill myself. Okay. What are the 1-star reviews? Do we got any fucking comrades here in the chat? Appears to be alt-right propaganda. Can we get a dab? You couldn't see it, I just dabbed. Peculiar packaging. My impression is this book was written by a very conservative white male religious author touting limited college education to a certain qualified class of society. Okay. Dry material and content. Nothing I've never heard before. See, this person's been on Kotaku in Action. Dab on camera. I don't have a fucking webcam. The one that came with my laptop broke, and I can't afford a camera. Right now I should be looking for a job, but I'm not. So what are you gonna do? 103 customer reviews. 288 pages. Martin's Press. We got anything more juicy here? I think we're done with the juice. It's worse than I thought. Everyone that has an interest in the future of this country should read this book. This book is documented and fact-based. Our colleges and universities are no longer dedicated to teaching. The milk sops that are running these institutions are knuckling under to... What is it? There's a whinging complaint about race, gender, you name it. The inmates are running the asylum. This has to stop. I don't know what that means. Oh, God. Animal Farm 1984 and Atlas Shrugged have arrived? What? Have arrived? What does that mean? Diversity debunking books. All right, we're done. Okay, let's finish the fucking video. I should turn this into a fucking YouTube video. This segment from the stream. What is sociology? Who knows? I'm trying to be responsible with my audio because I've got a bit of the sniffles, so I'm muting the mic every time I blow my nose. So anytime you don't hear me for more than 5 seconds, it's probably because I'm taking care of some kind of bodily function. All right, let's do it.
Wastes extraordinary amounts of time and money that could be going into basic research and its real-world application.
Evidence? Source? Source?
If that were its only consequence, the cost would be high enough. But identity politics is altering the standards for scientific competence and the way future scientists are trained.
How so?
Diversity is now an explicit job qualification in the STEM fields. The physics department at UC San Diego advertised an assistant professor position with a specific emphasis on contributions to diversity, such as a candidate's awareness of inequities faced.
This is incredible to me, how fucking snowflakey these pansy bitches are. This is what they're complaining about? One job posting for one assistant professor in one university in this country asked for... I thought it was going to be like, hey, we're hiring a black professor. We want black professors to teach our black students or some shit like that. It's not even that. Just be aware of inequality? Emphasis on contribute... What?
By underrepresented groups. Solving the mystery of dark energy apparently now takes a back seat to...
Whoa. Solving the mystery of dark energy now takes a back seat to... What the fuck is she going to say? Diversity?
Social justice.
Social justice. In what way have you demonstrated that it has taken a back seat? Anyone? I understand. I know this sounds like cringy and grandstanding when I say this, but holy shit, there are people who believe this. When you advocate for diversity in the workplace, what you are doing is encouraging new groups of people who might have really fucking cool ideas to get involved in science. When you say, hey, we want professors who are aware of inequality, who have a diversity-minded conscious thought process, what you are saying is, we want professors who can encourage everyone, men, women, sissies, trans folk, whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, to get into the scientific field, because all these people, all of them, have the potential to contribute great things. Diversity is the process by which we'll, I don't know, whatever, figure out, what did she say, dark matter or some stupid shit? I think we got bigger issues to contend with now, but sure, that too.
Maybe it was a coincidence, but all 5 candidates on UC San Diego's short list were females. If traditional standards are keeping women and minorities out of STEM fields, it stands to reason that changing standards must be the way to get them in. Or maybe standards are just another expression of the white patriarchy and thus no longer relevant.
Oh man, fucking when people say like white cis patriarchy, it's such a fucking dog whistle because you know they have no idea what they're talking about. There's not, for one, patriarchy is a term specifically oriented around feminist literature, and it talks about male-dominated social spheres. There is no white patriarchy. Now, the patriarchy co-aligns with white supremacy, which co-aligns with cis supremacy, but that doesn't mean there's a white patriarchy. You know, when they throw these terms out, they're just trying to mock the language of left-leaning people. Italiener, I think the argument is that quotas for women or other minorities will force out other more qualified white men just to steelman it. But that's not true. What's happening right now is that, say you have like 10 slots for like a research training institute or like a think tank or fucking whatever. I don't know. I'm a social science major. But you have 10 slots that you can get scientists in there, right? And because all of the professors, all the researchers who are in charge of those appointments are fucking 75-year-old white men, because, come on, fucking be real, 75-year-old white men tend to be kind of fucking racist and sexist. They're going to look for white men to fill those slots. And if there is an equal qualification between a given white man and a given black man, or a given white man and a black woman, God forbid, they're going to side with the white man. Of course they fucking will. The evidence of racial and sex bias in higher academia is a well-researched phenomenon. By doing away with that bigotry, by ensuring a more diversity-minded process of application, you can ensure that the people who get in actually are the most qualified. That there are no highly qualified black folk or women or trans folk or whatever the hell who are going to be axed out because they do not meet the pre-existing hierarchical standard for what a researcher should look like. There is no legitimate argument against an appeal towards diversity in the STEM fields.
Introductory chemistry course at UC Berkeley reflects the new culturally sensitive pedagogy. A primary goal, according to its teachers, is to disrupt the racialized and gendered construct of scientific brilliance.
Yeah, that's a good and valid thing to do.
Which defines good science as getting all the right answers.
Nope, that is not what that... What? The first part of the statement is valid. The second part of this statement is a non sequitur. No researcher, no teacher in the history of humanity has ever told the class that being right is something that their field is going to be moving away from.
This same diversity obsession extends to medical schools. Not a happy thought when they wheel you into the operating room for emergency surgery.
And there's a fucking black person looking over you with a scalpel. I know what they're going to say. They're going to say it.
The promoters of identity politics are literally playing with our lives. Medical schools' admissions committees are now told to overlook the low test scores of Black and Hispanic applicants in favor of a more holistic approach. From 2013 to 2016, medical schools admitted 57% of Black applicants with a low medical college admission test score of 24 to 26, but only 8% of whites and 6% of Asians with those same low scores, according to Claremont McKenna professor Frederick Lynch.
Okay. This is a big fucking meme that right-wingers like to get really pissy about. Now, there are two sides to this. There is one argument which suggests that because black people, Hispanic people, or other discriminated against minority groups have to go through more, on average, to make it to that med school appointment, to make that test, to get those grades, because they have overcome more institutional prejudice along the way, they are disproportionately affected, and therefore their treatment should be considered in regards to their admission. So, for example, let's say you've got me, a fucking privileged upper middle class white boy. I do the college, I get the med school, I take the test, I get a 90% or whatever. And then you've got a black guy, East LA, kind of shitty neighborhood, dad in jail, worked his fucking ass off through high school, 2 minimum wage jobs and classes, put his ass into undergrad, then submitted a medical school application, got the same grade as me, got whatever grade I said. Did I say 90%, 80%? Whatever grade I got, he got the same thing. Now, we may have gotten the same grade, but who worked harder for it? But who's actually more qualified? The person who can get a good grade because every privilege in life was handed to him? Or the person who can get a good grade against all odds? Imagine it's a fucking anime, okay? All right, it's an anime, and you've got the two sword fighters, all right? The two sword fighters, they're going at one another, and it's like, oh, what an incredible, engaging battle. Let us look into the backstories of these protagonists to determine how much we should give a fuck. And one of them, Sasagi no Akuiju, is just a spoiled fucking Ojo-san who Jodomo, who grew up in the fucking life of luxury just did like sword training practice with his the training teachers that his father set up against him. Every privilege in life was afforded to Sakajima Nidokse. But then you've got Kaisen Nowansu, okay? And he's the other guy. And he was a fucking street urchin, okay? He learned his sword skills from batting around oranges, like rotten oranges in a back alley with a long stick that he found while wandering through the woods trying to find his lost mother, who he never saw again, okay? Both of them... Christ God fucking weep shit. Okay? Both of them face each other in combat. And, none's the victor. They're evenly matched. But who's the actual better fucking sword fighter, okay? We both know it's the second guy, whatever stupid racist name I gave him. Alright? That's the argument, okay? Black people, statistically speaking, have suffered way more institutional discrimination along the way. Therefore, they have worked harder to get the appointments they have. Therefore, they should be favored slightly when it comes to weighted test scores. Is this on Crunchyroll? Yeah, it is, okay? Check it out. Fucking season 4 just dropped. God, kill me. All right, anyway, so there's that's one argument. It should also be noted that this is a little bit disingenuous when they just provide this data right here, because it implies that, like, medical school has been flooded by black people. Because that's not true. If we scaled these numbers down to reflect the number of people who applied, we would probably see that, like, yeah, fucking more than half of the black people who applied got in, and there are, like, 6 black dudes in there. 8% of the white people who applied got in, but the majority of the people in there are white. That's how it works. That's how multivariate statistics works. Not that you'll ever get that info in a fucking PragerU video.
Lynch. Racial preferences in med school programs.
Yeah, do I need to get like Fortnite down there? Oh wait, really quickly, while we're talking about anime. Look, I'm pretty happy about this. Look, check this out. I drew this for my next video card. Look, it's K-On! I drew... See, that's me. You can tell which one is me. I kept the legs. Yeah, we get it. You can draw... Shut the fuck up, Salivala. Alright, I'm glad you guys like it. Okay. Oh, that's where the porn is. Alright, let's finish this fucking video. Where's the bulge? It's under the table, okay?
Are sometimes justified on the basis that minorities want doctors who look like them. Really? Seems much more likely that minority patients with serious illnesses want the same thing we all do. A well-trained, skilled doctor.
Everyone wants a well-trained, skilled doctor when they go in for a fucking injury, but nobody likes it when you live in fucking downtown Chicago, and in spite of the fact that the community you live in is predominantly black, all these sick-ass fucking doctor jobs seem to have gotten taken by all the whiteys in the community. No one wants to be black, get shot, go to a fucking hospital, and then all the people tending to them are like the 10 white people in the community because by some miracle, they ended up being the ones qualified. You want to see diversity in the workplace, whether you're injured or not, and that's not just because you want to see people who look like you. It's because you want to know that you're not a second-class fucking citizen.
The desperate attempt to get women into STEM fields is also based on the idea that, absent discrimination, women and men would be equally represented in the sciences. This is highly unlikely, however.
Why? Oh, please hit me with an Evo Psych argument. Tell me why women are psychologically predisposed to not understand mathematics and science.
Differences in math proficiency between boys and girls show up as early as kindergarten. In the top points,
Girls outperform boys in mathematics test scores, don't they? Wait, hold on. Compared to the average math test score of 508 for all test takers, high school boys scored 16 points above average, while girls scored 14 points below average. Consistent across all ethnic groups. No, all right, never mind. Women are just terrible, I guess. I've been red-pilled.
0.01% of math ability, where we find scientific genius. There are 2.5 males in the U.S. for every female, according to a recent paper in the journal Intelligence.
For those that feel when women are subhuman. For those of you that are curious, though, this is almost certainly, at least in large part, because of social bias. There's research to suggest that gendered indoctrination can begin as early as in utero. While you're sitting there in your mom's stomach, floating in embryonic fluid, the fucking vibrations you're getting from the outside world are telling you that you need to suck at math if you're a girl. Okay, so
this may help explain why women make up 14% of engineering workers and 25% of computer workers. To acknowledge this was once common sense, now it can get you fired.
Back in the 1970s, 80s, and 60s, before computers were marketed to the general public, back when they were purely for research and development, the split between men and women when it came to coding and computer research and computer science was actually nearly even. There was nearly an even number of men and women. This gap widened substantially when computers started getting marketed to the general public, when they started marketing them as a tool for boys. Social indoctrination is the cause of these differences, not innate biological differences. To suggest otherwise is to be anti-science.
Fired. Ask James Damore, the Google engineer who questioned the company's hiring preferences.
James, no, big fucking meme. This is the guy who spread that internal document and made an ass of himself and handled his disagreement with company culture in the most fucking, I'm gonna say it, autistic fucking way imaginable, and then everyone acted outraged when he got fired, even though it was the most predictable thing in the world.
This is for females. The National Labor Relations Board upheld Google's firing of Damore on the grounds that his statements about purported biological differences between men and women were discriminatory and constituted sexual harassment.
They did. They did.
This decision means that
I can say autistic, I am autistic, I get to say autistic and retard 3 times a day, okay? Well, I can say autistic as much as I want, but I can call people autistic 3 times a day. I've used retard twice now. Twice. I can do it. I was diagnosed. We're good.
every evolutionary biologist, neurologist, or economist who acknowledges the differences between males and females is at risk of his job. The unique accomplishments of Western science were achieved without regard to the sex or skin color of its creators. Now, however, funders, industry leaders, and academic administrators want us to believe that
it's incredible, the fucking disingenuity here. Back in the day, it was just old white men who did science, and things were better then. Now we have non-white non-men, and things are going to be terrible. The only implication here, the only assertion there is to be derived from this, is to say that non-white non-men are just inherently worse than white men. And they could have saved a lot of time if they'd front-loaded the video with that assertion. Here, let's finish the video, and then we'll go back and we'll fix the video.
Is the key to the future. But the truth is the exact opposite. We want our best scientific minds to be free to do their best work. In our
including minority groups that are being discriminated against and not allowed to participate in the scientific community despite having plenty of excellent ideas to contribute.
highly competitive world, identity politics is an indulgence we can't afford. I'm Heather McDonald, fellow at the Manhattan Institute, for Prager University.
All right, choke on my cock. Okay, well, we're going to do this video again, and we're going to do it honest. It's going to be 20 seconds long. Let's get me... there we go. All right. Are we ready? Okay, let's do it. Though there's no evidence to back this up, we at Prager University feel very strongly about the inherent genetic heritable superiority of white men over all other gender and racial groups. Because science is important, and important things should be left to the people best suited to handle those tasks, we believe only white men should be allowed to participate in the STEM fields. When other groups participate in the STEM fields, they should be seen as what they truly are, an anomaly, one which should not be encouraged. I'm Dumb White Bitch with Prager University. Oh, we got a hot take, dude? Well, why the fuck aren't they picking up? General voice? Oh. General voice, huh?
Oh, yeah, whatever. Whatever this is called.
All right, let's do it. I hear you've got some hot takes. Hit me with it.
All right.
Also, if you start shouting, I like, this probably goes without saying, but if you start screaming the N-word, I'm probably going to have to.
I am ideologically opposed to saying that one, my dude, so no worries there. All right, this is my hottest non-political take.
I'm ready.
And I've never lost this argument before, so I'm ready.
Ooh.
I'm hoping you can bring me down.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right, the file format of the moving pictures, that's like a pretty compressed image format. What do you call that?
It's a fucking GIF, you prescriptionist.
Oh my God, how wrong you are.
No,
God.
no, it's not fucking. Where's your fucking Wittgenstein praxis at? Words are about describing the communal trust. Words are about describing the communal vision. Words are not fucking handed down to us like Prometheus with his fire handed down to us from heaven. I don't care what the fuck the owner says. It's a fucking GIF.
That's not the argument I was going to make. Well, that's one of the arguments I was going to make, so I'll give you that one. But, I mean, I feel like you could find a pretty enormous population of people who say it like I say it, too, so I don't understand what this point means.
I'm pretty sure the majority of people say GIF.
Also, there's no breakdown in communication. If I say GIF, in, like, most contexts, you understand that I'm not talking about peanut butter. So I've still described the same thing, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against people saying GIF, but, like, holy shit.
Well, really? Because you came out a little strong there, buddy.
The argument
strong on that one.
is rooted entirely in pedantry. The majority of people call it GIF, and then the internet started circulating news that the owner said it's supposed to be pronounced GIF, and then fucking pretentious people in the YouTube comment section started being like, actually, at 482, you used the wrong pronunciation. Fuck that. It's GIF. I stand with the people. I'm a prole, okay? Right. And I use the prole GIF.
I'm just saying, why do you call it GIF?
What? Because that's what we've agreed to call it.
Obviously, there's disagreement, right? There's obviously contention, so I don't think that argument has any legs. You have to have some reason for choosing GIF over GIF, because clearly the fact that you know enough to have spouted off that bit of text so far means that you know of disagreement there, right?
I mean, yeah, there's disagreement, but people agreed on GIF before the fucking GIF purists flooded the internet like the turmeric cancer they are.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of people say that's not my forte, but that's wrong too, right? So, well, I just don't understand.
But it's not. But it's not wrong. But it's
populum.
Wait, but it's not wrong. If they say that's not my forte, and that's what everyone agrees the saying should be pronounced like, that is how the saying is pronounced. There's no right way to pronounce a word.
Huh? I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there.
Oh, if people say that's not my forte, and that's what they agree on as the correct way of pronouncing that idiom, then that should be the correct pronunciation. There isn't like a right way to pronounce a word. There's only the agreed upon way.
I even think with GIF versus GIF, there is less agreement than fort versus forte. So I don't.
I mean, yeah, literally no one says this is my fort. So.
Yeah. Okay. I started off with that was perhaps a bad analogy, but I guess the greater point I'm trying to drive at here is that there's the point you're making is that if large enough swaths of the population agree that it ought to be pronounced one way, then that's the way you're going to pronounce it. But I'm contending that there seems to be huge contention in GIF versus GIF, and all you've sort of presented to me is that you find people who say that it's GIF annoying.
No, because I have a fundamentally descriptive view of language rather than a prescriptive one. I think that however a word is commonly believed to be pronounced should be the way that it is pronounced, and you believe that like there is a fundamental right way to pronounce a word, that it's designated by some authority, like the creator of the term, or like by a dictionary or something like that. But I think I don't think it works that way.
I don't know. I think that's a very bizarre stance. No, maybe not bizarre, but it just seems kind of strange to me to present that if all of a sudden you could round up enough people who said that we were going to, and you all agreed that we were going to start pronouncing the word "and" as like "ained," that that's just what "ained" becomes.
Yeah, but this is like, but the problem with linguistic prescriptivism is that it's how you maintain like cultural supremacy over different dialectic groups. This is like what fucking whiteys do when they go to the ghettos and they're like, it's not axe, it's ask, you fucking not a right person.
Whoa. Are you playing Fortnite? You playing Fortnite?
I am.
Relax.
It's the same. It's the reason why the French government has received widespread criticism for the fact that they have like a national language institute that has official ways of pronouncing French words.
Okay, what sort of marginalized group do you think I'm exerting social power over by asserting that it ought to be pronounced GIF?
Okay, I agree. There's no social group that is being oppressed by
all
your
right, drop
assertion.
this argument then.
But it's
What
the
is
same.
this?
But it's the same logic. It's the same logic, though.
I wish my case.
I think I've proven my point.
All right. Okay.
No.
Another debate one.
All right. I'll admit you have sort of a bigger brain take on this than most other people I argue with. Excuse me.
It was never
people I argue with about this.
It was never about the debate, okay? It was about the friendships we made along the way. Can't you agree?
Hey, I couldn't agree more. Also, you really gotta watch that language if you don't have a battle royale game on stream, okay?
I
buddy?
didn't say it. What the fuck?
You didn't. Hey,
no,
I'm
I
just
didn't.
saying you came close. I'm very worried about you. I don't want you to get it banned, okay?
I said it like 20 times last night.
All right.
All right. I think I'm gonna watch another PragerU video. Thank you very much for the brief and intense discussion.
You clearly hate yourself. All right, love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Blueberry one.
Thank you. Another. I got BDFO'd in this debate. I'll see you later.
See ya.
All right. Good memes, friends. Fully ready for the MRA takes. What are you talking about? I'm a men's rights activist. Fuck women. All right. We're doing one more PragerU video. How have I been streaming for 2.5 hours? Holy shit. I guess that's pretty cool. Wow. Fucking Destiny stopped streaming and he didn't even host me. He didn't even flood my tiny, tiny stream with his fucking 8K viewers. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. PragerU. Let's get a juicy one, okay? Let's get an edgy one. They can't all be like fucking softballs. Who are the most powerful people in America? They're gonna say it. It's the Jews. Why you should be a nationalist. Oh. Should trans women compete with women? I don't want that. That's just gonna be hard bigotry. I don't want that. Why does America spend so much in Israel? Because of Ben Shapiro, obviously. Wait, guys, do you think Ben Shapiro would be more or less popular if he wasn't Jewish? Like, on one hand, him being Jewish precludes him from certain, like, audience members in the alt-right. But on the other hand, him being Jewish allows alt-righters to support him in a way which kind of denunciates their latent anti-Semitism. Liberals versus leftists. Let's do it. Nope, not on the page. We're going back for this one. Is it, which one of these? Left or liberal? Is it that one? Is fascism right or left? Fucking kill me. Way more popular. Think about that much. Yeah. Left or liberal? Let's do it. Okay, so just so like you guys know, I mean, I am assuming most of you are aware of this fact, but I am not a liberal. Liberals are people who support the values of liberalism, like free trade, capitalist economic systems, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion. I think a lot of those ideas are pretty great. Equality, freedom of speech, and what have you. I think some of them kind of suck, like capitalism. I am a leftist. We are evolved liberals. Let's fucking do it.
25 million years ago, a new species appeared on Earth.
Okay, I'm putting my best foot forward on this one. This is gonna be. I'm gonna sit up straight in my chair. Okay, I'm going to speak in my smoothest voice. And we're going to produce some hot takes that are worthy of a YouTube clip, okay? Let's do it.
What's the difference between a liberal and a leftist?
Oh, God, we're actually getting fucking Prager U here. The Prager University? Mr. University.
This question stumps most people because they think liberal and left are essentially the same. But they're not.
True.
In fact, liberalism and leftism have almost nothing in common. But the left has appropriated the word liberal so effectively, almost everyone, liberals, leftists, and conservatives, thinks they are synonymous.
No. I mean, yes, but it's not because of leftists.
But they're not. Let me offer you 6 examples.
Oh, God.
1, race. This is probably the most obvious difference between liberal and left. The liberal position on race has always been, A, the color of a person's skin is insignificant, and B... Right.
Yeah, when liberalism got its start out in the fucking mid-1700s, they sure as shit did not give a rat's ass about the color of people's skin, eh?
B, those who believe race is significant are racists. Meanwhile, the left believes the very opposite. To the left, it's the liberal attitude toward race. It's unimportant. That is racist. That's why the University of California officially lists the statement, there is only one race, the human race, as racist. And
yes, it is. This is the same, like, color blindness. Okay, this is such a fucking dumb take. Stephen Colbert was making fun of this shit a decade ago. This is old hat news. I know we get to retread all over these dumbass fucking right-wing talking points now that fascism is back in vogue, but painting over existing racial disparities in society furthers racism. To suggest race is not an important part of one's background is to implicitly state that they have never received any benefits or any negative consequences associated with their race. This is categorically untrue in the case of virtually every human being born within the American border, and to most people born out of it.
Liberals have always been passionately committed to racial integration, while...
Again, liberalism has been around since the 18th century. How long has racial integration been around? Because the people who pushed for racial integration, like, say, Dr. Martin Luther King, are leftist. They are anti-capitalist. They are socialists. And I am getting a phone call. So much for that clean audio, huh? Anyway, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a leftist. He was a socialist. He was an anti-capitalist. He purported that race was absolutely a subject of division in America. The people who pushed for racial integration were leftists, not liberals.
The left is increasingly committed to racial segregation, such as all black dormitories and separate black graduation.
I agree these are pretty stupid. They don't happen as much as the right likes to paint them. There are some benefits to that kind of thing. I don't think they're worth the downsides.
At universities. 2, capitalism. Liberals have always been pro-capitalism.
Yes, this is true.
Because liberals are committed to free enterprise and because they know capitalism is the only way to lift great numbers.
And look at how he slips those things in there. And because liberals know capitalism is the only way to lift people from poverty. Fucking, what a disingenuous little fucking cuckboy. Look at him. Look at him in his fucking lazy, pasty eyes and his silvery white hair. It'll break apart so easily with just a single strike.
Numbers of people out of poverty. It is true that liberals want government to play a bigger role in the economy than conservatives do. But liberals never opposed capitalism, and they were never for socialism. Opposition...
Yeah, that's why liberals are fucking getting bashed too. I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to lessen my anti-liberal takes. I gotta play out to the majority, you know? Hold on 1 second. I'm actually getting another call. All right, let's do this shit.
To capitalism and advocacy of socialism are left-wing values.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
Nationalism.
Comrade Prager.
Liberals believe in the nation-state.
Bad.
Whether that nation is the United States, Brazil, or France. But because the left divides the world by class rather than by national identity, the left has always opposed nationalism.
Fucking imagine thinking that's a bad thing. It's fucking unfathomable to me. They'd be like, what else is wrong with the left? They're not nationalists. They don't arbitrarily place value on the country they were born in to the detriment of all others. Leftist.
So, while liberals have always wanted to protect American sovereignty and borders, the left is for open borders. When the writers of Superman were liberals, Superman was a proud American whose very motto was truth, justice, and the American way.
Who drew this? I could draw better than this. Bring me on PragerU. I want those fash bucks.
But that all changed a few years ago when left-wing writers took over the comic strip and had Superman renounce his American citizenship to be a citizen of the world.
Incredible. And hey, it made the comics better? It did. It did. This is widely known in the comics community. That that Superman's decision to renounce his American citizenship came along with a general increase in the quality of the comics writing. Because why the fuck would an alien have a national allegiance? Like, how does that represent the values he's supposed to stand for?
The left has contempt for nationalism, seeing it as the road to fascism.
Spoken on a fascist channel.
Better that we should all be citizens of the world in a world without borders. 4.
And just imagine thinking that's a fucking zinger. Holy shit.
View of America.
Isn't globalism liberal? Globalism serves the interests of the capitalist class, and in that respect, it is liberal. But in many ways, globalism is also the means by which leftists will achieve their development, their revolution. It's the whole international workers of the world unite kind of thing, right? You know, you don't want workers, to be segregated not just along class lines, but also along national lines, because then the American worker will believe the myth that he has more in common with the wealthy of his nation than he does with a worker in China.
Liberals have always venerated America. Watch American films from the 1930s through the 1950s, and you will be watching overtly patriotic, America-celebrating films.
Cool.
Virtually all produced, directed, and acted by liberals. Liberals were quite aware of America's imperfections, but they agreed with Abraham Lincoln that America is the last best hope of Earth. The left, however, believes the left is the last best hope of Earth and regards America as racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, violent, and imperialistic.
Yes. Fucking Comrade Prager out here, dishing out these hot takes
5.
for me.
Free speech. No one has been more committed than American liberals to the famous statement, "I wholly disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." But the left is leading the first widespread suppression of free speech in modern American history. From the
Imagine believing that the left is leading the first widespread suppression of free speech in American history when we have the Red Scare, the Civil Rights, the fucking McCarthy-era proceedings in our history. Fucking, oh, just about, ooh, I would love to hear, oh, man. I don't know if any of them are still alive. This is a while back, but I just want to imagine, oh, those fucking striking union workers back in the late 19th century. Oh, they're out there, they're striking, they're protesting, they're getting fucking beat up and gunned down by Pinkerton detectives, getting their face stomped in by the fucking attack dogs of their factory owners, and then they look up and they see above them the fucking perfectly shiny, glorious, ethereal, eternal face of Dennis Prager telling them, "You think this is something? Just wait till you see what leftist professors are doing on college campuses a century from now. Just watch." I want to kill myself.
Universities, to the tech companies that govern the internet, to almost every other institution and place of work. Of course, the left claims to only oppose hate speech.
Hate speech laws were developed by liberals, not by leftists. Hate speech laws are something that are already on the book. They were developed decades ago and have been changed throughout time, often with consensus amongst the liberals and conservatives in higher government. This is by no means a concept unique to leftism.
But putting aside the fact that the left deems hate speech anything it differs with, protecting what you or I might consider hate speech is the entire point of free speech.
It is not. Hate speech is a notable exception to free speech. This has already been settled in the courts. When he says this stuff, when he makes these arguments, he is being anti-American. He is not defending the status quo. He is moving the goalposts to the right.
6. Western civilization.
Western civilization is a dog whistle for Nazis. What are we going on about?
Liberals have always championed and sought to protect Western civilization. Liberals celebrate the West's unique moral, philosophical, artistic, musical, and literary achievements, and have taught them at virtually every university. The most revered liberal in American political history, President Franklin Roosevelt, often cited the need to protect Western civilization.
What? By what metric is FDR the most celebrated liberal in American history? Can I get a number? What? Really? Okay. I mean, it's a super fucking arbitrary qualification, so I guess we'll go with it. Why not?
And even Christian civilization. Yet when President Donald Trump spoke of the need to protect Western civilization in a speech in Warsaw, the left-wing media, also known as the mainstream media...
All right, we snuck some things in here. Okay. Imagine believing there's no need for society's views on these statements to change over the past 70 years. Imagine equating this statement, when made by an anti-fascist political leader who collaborated in the defeat of Nazi Germany,
civilization. Yet when President Donald Trump...
with a proto-fascist who can't even bring himself to openly denounce Nazis. Do we think there might be some kind of false equivocacy between statements made by these two? I'm not even a big fan of FDR.
Trump spoke of the need to protect Western civilization in a speech in Warsaw. The left-wing media...
Also, again, this statement right here, this statement being made by FDR, often cited the need to. That's not a quote. These aren't quotes. What quote? What year? When did he say this? What's the full quote? This is a broad, general, and unverifiable assertion. This, I remember when he said this. He was saying this in response to the existential threat posed by immigration from and terrorism caused by Islamic extremism. Right? From Muslims. So while FDR is just, he vaguely talks about the need to defend Western civilization, Christian civilization, when Trump brings it up, he is specifically demarking and excluding certain ethnic groups. All right, let's do it.
The left-wing media, also known as the mainstream media.
Nope. Just not even anything to argue with here. Hey, in this frame, it kind of looks like he has the Joker smile. Like he's a gamer. See? He's got like the fucking fold over here. You want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah, denounced him. They argue that
Wait, do I got a fucking Nazi in my chat? Hold on, I'll get to you in a second.
Western civilization is no better than any other, and that Western civilization is just a euphemism for white supremacy.
Yep, you got it. Well, I actually do believe Western civilization is better than any other kind. Like, Western civilization isn't actually a defined thing, but I do believe it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit. We got like cheeseburgers and stuff. We got video game. Yeah, I like Western civilization. The metric by which you determine a civilization is better than another, though, will never be anything other than arbitrary and fueled by bias. There's literally no way to determine it. I celebrate some aspects of Western civilization. I think many of them are beneficial, but I recognize that the concept as a whole of Western civilization, as well as the methods by which we demark it and distinguish it from other civilizations, are completely arbitrary and usually fueled by imperialistic division.
So then, if liberalism and leftism are so different, why don't liberals oppose the left?
They do. This is why leftists say liberals get the bullet first, because liberals are always the first ones to turncoat the moment things get dicey on the side of the leftists. Look at all the fucking liberals out there, the fucking pearl-clutching, white coat-wearing, Hillary Clinton-supporting tweeters out there who violently denounce Antifa or any kind of student activist protest sit-in, Black Lives Matter, what have you, because liberals and leftists disagree with one another. There are ideological differences to be hashed out in this respect. Liberals very rarely side with the left.
In a nutshell, because they have been taught all their lives to fear the right. But as one of the best-known liberals in America, Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz said,
the best-known liberals in America. Who the fuck is this guy? Also, you shouldn't fear the right, okay? Because fear is not going to get you any closer to pulling that trigger, okay? You shouldn't fear them. You should hate them.
as a liberal, as an American, and as a Jew, I far more fear the left than the right.
Cool.